the smaller group earlier, I haven't been as involved in politics. I've been doing my commentary. I've been trying to speak out about the issues that I do believe in when I was on Channel 8. She was so kind, Debbie and others, for thanking me for being here. I said, hell, I'm retired now. I'd go anywhere for a free meal. I haven't been involved as much as I should have been over the last 30 to 40 years, quite honestly. Because I always had this litmus test that I wanted my candidate to be the perfect candidate. I always held my candidates to such an incredibly high standard that if they couldn't pass my litmus test, and none of them actually could, then I wasn't interested in the process. Only to find out that if you're not willing to vote for what is considered to be by some the lesser of two evils, then sometimes the most evil person wins.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm changing that now. I'm changing that.
Yes. Yes.
I started writing commentaries and speaking out quite a few years ago. And one of the first commentaries that I ever wrote at Channel 8 was at the height of the SMU football scandal and all the cheating that was going on in the Southwest Conference. And I wrote a commentary, and I called in the commentary Texas A&M football coach Jackie Sherrill a disgusting human being.
Yep. Yeah.
And the premise of that was simply, we had exposed the fact that his quarterback, Kevin Murray, was being paid by Rod Dockery, and as a result, they gave him a car to drive. And we confronted Kevin Murray down at College Station. And Kevin Murray says, I've never heard of Rod Dockery. I've never worked for Rod Dockery. I don't drive a white Nissan, and that signature on the lease, that's not mine. A week later, Jackie Sherrill calls a press conference with A&M officials, and they announced that Kevin Murray was indeed driving a white Nissan.
I believe
he was leasing that white Nissan because he made the money working for Rod Dockery. So Jackie Sherrill called me at home, and I said to him, how do you explain the fact that if that's all true, that when we asked him, he didn't recognize the name, the card, or even his own signature? And Jackie Sherrill said to me, Dale, you know how these colored boys are.
Oh.
You can take them out of the jungle and make them football smart.
Oh,
but you can never take them out of the jungle and make them smart. Oh, well. Reba says that is, thank you, because that's going to be one hell of a commentary. Well, you can't say that or I'll sue you. And I said, well, I look forward to it. So I went on the air that Sunday night, and I wrote the commentary. I outlined why, and I said Jackie Sherrill is a disgusting human being.
Amen.
I then finished the commentary about all the cheating in the Southwest Conference at the time by quoting one of my favorite politicians, Bobby Kennedy. And I said, I'm just one of those liberals from the 60s who believe what Bobby Kennedy used to say, some men see things as they are and ask why. I see things as they could be and ask why not. I got off the air, and John McKay was our anchor at that time, the weekend anchor. John comes up to me and goes, man, oh man, what the hell were you thinking? He said, you cannot go on Channel 8 and call the head football coach at Texas A&M a disgusting human being. I said, well, I just think he is. So I'm just telling you, you're in big trouble. The very next morning, the great Dave Lane, one of the greatest general managers in the history of television, calls me at home and says, I need you in my office as soon as possible. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I can't call him.
How much do you want to bet?
I walk in the newsroom and John McKay says to me, oh, Dale, it's bad, buddy, it's bad. I walk in and I promise you this is a true story. A lot of this stuff I'll just kind of make it up as I go along. But I promise you this is a true story. Dave Lane takes my commentary that he had printed out, wads it up, and fires it at me as I come into his office. He said, did you say this on our air last night?
I did.
And I said, yeah, because I'm sorry, but I just think he's a disgusting human being. He said, no, you proved that. I'm talking about quoting that damn Bobby Kennedy and telling you quoted Bobby Kennedy and told people that you're a liberal? We can't have that! I swear to you. And I didn't have the answer then that I wish I had, that I use now. I came across this a couple of weeks ago, actually, for the first time. I remember the show when it happened, but for some reason it didn't resonate with me then as much as it does now. But it was on the show West Wing, and it was Jimmy Smits as Matt Santos was running for president against Alan Alda with Arnie Denny. And they had the big debate. And this is from the keyboard and from the mind of Lawrence O'Donnell, who's on MSNBC now, but at that time he was a writer for the show, West Wing. And Arnie Denny throws the liberal label at Jimmy Smits or Matt Santos. And Jimmy Smits said, and forgive me, I don't have it in front of me, and I'll try to do this as best I can. But Jimmy Smits responded by, when you throw the label liberal at me, do you know what the liberals have done? It was liberals who gave women the right to vote.
Yes! There we go!
It was liberals who gave African Americans the vote.
You better believe it!
It was liberals who created the Social Security system that took elderly people out of the depths of poverty and given them a sanctuary to the end of their life. It was liberals who ended segregation. It was liberals who passed the Civil Rights Voting Act and the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. It was liberals who created the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act. And do you know what the conservatives did during all of that? They opposed it every step of the way. Every single aspect of that. The conservatives opposed it every step of the way. So, sir, when you throw the liberal word at me, when you toss it at my feet, as if it is something for me to be ashamed of, something that I would be embarrassed by, and something that I would run away from, understand this, sir. It doesn't work. And I will pick that word liberal up, and I will wear it like a badge of honor. We live in a country. We live in a country when we argue because Democrats are trying to push a bill through, Build Back Better, which they finally get passed. And then the Republicans who voted against that bill are telling their constituents, I told you I would fix that bridge in Alabama.
That's
and
right.
I finally have done it, even though I voted against it.
It's about time!
The so-called mistakes that the Democrats are spending are geared, at the very least, to making lives better. That is the so-called mistake they might be making. They're spending money to make lives better. And the Republican response to that is to complain about vaccine mandates.
Yes, sir.
That's
And as
right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the great leaders of the Republican Party, said, this is the stupidity of the Democratic Party. They closed down schools, they closed down businesses because of their crazy mandates about COVID-19. And yet they haven't closed down a single school or shut down a single business, and yet cancer kills hundreds of thousands of people. And as George Takei said better, the man on Star Trek,
Yes. Sulu.
George Takei simply responded, please tell me you're stupid by not saying you're stupid. One of the leaders of the Republican Party is comparing the mandates to protect people against dying from COVID-19 to why don't we have those same mandates because people have cancer. They care about the sanctity of life right up until the baby is born.
That's it. That's right.
They complain about Democrats taking away our freedoms. And as I say to my buddy that my friend the judge and I have been all too familiar with, I say to my buddy, name one. Name me the freedom that the Democrats have taken from us. We have mandates in America. We've had it for 100 years. I was driving up here today. I wanted to drive 90. I can only drive 70. Or so I was told. I've had 3 glasses of wine. I intend to have more. I'll decide how many drinks I have when I drive. It's personal responsibility. I will decide if I wear a seatbelt or not. I will decide if I light up a cigar. I will decide how fast I drive. I will decide if I get a license to drive. I will decide if I have insurance to drive. It's personal responsibility. Not.
That's right.
Because we do a lot of things in this country for the better good.
That's right.
Except when the Republicans come along and try to tell us that we're losing our freedoms. The same Republicans who have decided that it's okay for a stranger at the airport to search through my bag for no apparent reason other than he wants to. The Republicans decided that I had to take off my shoes and my belt at the airport and remove my cap. It's the Republicans who decided that we now think it's acceptable to torture prisoners for information. We who have survived the movies of the horrors of World War II and Vietnam, knowing that we would never be those people, we are now those people.
Yes.
And it was the Republicans who created Guantanamo Bay and wrote the documents justifying the use of torture against prisoners. These are the people that we are losing to? These are the dumb son of a bitches who are winning? And I think this will offend some of you as well, but I will say it. This is what Donald Trump did right. Donald Trump never said one thing, not one thing, to appeal to me, and I would probably argue somewhat successfully to any one of you in this room. Not one single thing did he say. But when Hillary Clinton was so audacious to say that there are a basket of deplorables who support Donald Trump, Fox News made a big story out of it, and she apologized. She apologized for saying that there are a basket of deplorables supporting Donald Trump. She apologized for that when she should have owned it. Is David Duke not deplorable?
Yes.
Is Richard Spencer not deplorable? Are the Proud Boys not deplorable? Are the brown-shirted Nazi insignia wearing marchers in Charlottesville with their tiki torches chanting "Jews will not replace us"? Are they not deplorable?
Yes, they are.
And yet she apologized. And do you really think she picked up a single vote?
Oh, heck no.
Do you think a single person went, "Oh, well, if you're going to apologize, I'll vote for you now"? I'm a big supporter and I have high hopes for Beto O'Rourke.
Yay!
Or my dog. I'll vote for him. Anybody that can beat... I got to tell them pass it down, by the way. Anybody that can beat Greg Abbott, they get my vote. But Beto came out the other day with a speech, and I will tell him if I ever get the chance face to face. He came out with a speech the other day trying to back off his earlier arguments about we will take the AR-15s away. Of course we will, and we absolutely should. Now he's a big supporter of the Second Rights Amendment. He's trying to soften his position about the Second Rights Amendment. How many gun owners, how many Republican conservatives are going to go, "Oh, well, hell, Beto. If you're not really that adamant about gun control legislation, hell, I'm going to vote for you." He's not going to gain a single vote by kissing up to the conservative Republicans. The only country in the world of the highly industrialized, wealthy nation in the world that kills children in schools, we are the only ones. And they do nothing. They do nothing except we have too many of our Democratic officials trying to figure out a way to appease them. Donald Trump never appeased anybody but himself in that ignorant base that he has. And because of the rich system that we have, he won. And I don't think it's a good thing.
I think it's a
But
lie.
I do think it's the government and the politics of the future. I think we have become so separated, we have become so torn apart, that this concept that too many politicians have of saying whatever they think they need to say at any particular location they are, those days are gone. I want a politician who will simply stand up and tell me what they believe in. Because as you notice, I keep saying elected officials. I don't call them elected leaders anymore, because they are elected followers. We stopped electing leaders years ago. Lyndon Johnson, not one of my favorite presidents, quite honestly, but Lyndon Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act and said when he was signing the bill, we have lost the South for a generation. He knew that the Democratic Party was going to take a major hit, but he also knew that it was the right thing to do. Where is that politician now?
That's right.
We don't elect leaders anymore. We elect followers. They follow the money. They follow the polls. They follow the lobbyists. They follow their base. And then we'll figure it out when we get to the general election. I want to find the leaders again. I want to find the people who stand up and say, this is good for America. If you understand it, great. If you don't, I'll explain it to you. But this is good for America. This is what America used to be. If we had the Republicans in the 50s that we have now, we'd all be sleeping in an iron lung or walking around in braces because we don't have.
That's right.
We don't have measles anymore. We don't have chickenpox anymore. Which I've had all of them. I was kind of a filthy kid when I was little. But this is why, and I'll leave you with a simple thought, if I may. This is why I've never wanted to make America great again. That line has never appealed to me. I don't want to make America great again. I want to make America as great as I know it can be and should.
Yeah.
The single hardest thing about being 73 years old today is, I know I look 69. I don't look a day over 69 and I know you're shocked.
I know that's right.
And I do appreciate all of you said, by the way, you're much taller than I thought. I haven't done it. As I said to the earlier group, television puts on 10 pounds. In my case, it put on like 135. But I digress. I got to bring the mood back down. Because this is how I live my life. This is how I've lived almost all of my life. The single thing that I have to deal with every day now, the single hardest thing I deal with every day now, is the fact that I know my dreams that I had as a boy when I graduated from high school in 1966 are never going to come true in my life. The dreams that I had as a boy in 1966 are never going to come true in my lifetime. Because when I graduated from high school in 1966, we knew, at the height of the Vietnam War, we knew the idiocy of sending our young men and women off to die in a foreign land that most people in America couldn't find on a map. And we knew that my generation would put an end to these incredibly stupid wars, because you do not settle your differences with bullets and bombs, and we would negotiate our way to a peaceful future in America. And my generation changed that. My generation knew that we were going to stop the discrimination against people based upon the color of their skin, or the religion they choose to follow, the person they choose to love, or if they choose no religion at all. My generation knew the idiocy of deciding the character of a person based on the color of their skin, their religion, their followings of who they believe and who they love. And my generation would put a stop to that discrimination. My generation knew that the richest country in the world would never allow someone to sleep in the cold under a bridge. They would never allow a child to go to bed hungry at night, because my generation was going to make sure that the richest country in the world fed the homeless, housed the hungry, took care of all the people in America who weren't as lucky as some of us in this room are to be born into the situation that we are. My generation knew that we would fix that. Because we thought we were smarter. We thought we were better. And now here I am 55 years later, and I realize up until just a couple of weeks ago, we were still sending young people off to die in a country that most people can't find on a map. And does anyone in this room really think that we won't be doing that again soon? Because we can't settle our differences without bullets and bombs for some ignorant reason. And we continue to send young people to die because old white men think this is the way we should handle our differences. We still discriminate against people on a daily basis, whether it's in their professional lives or their personal lives, based on the color of their skin, the religion they follow, or the person they choose to love. We do it every day in America. And you do not have to drive far before you can find someone sleeping on the street and a baby going to bed hungry. Because the richest country in the world has people arguing that it might be socialism if we fed the hungry and housed the homeless. And the reality is that I'm going to be dead and gone before America becomes the country that I thought it could be. But I will not give up. I will not give up. My granddaughter is black. I have seen the discrimination that she has dealt with almost every day of her life until they realize that she's my granddaughter. An absolute true story. I gave her my credit card when she was a kid. I sent her to the store. I said, buy whatever you want because you're my granddaughter. She is, incidentally, and this isn't fair to the rest of you, but she is the greatest granddaughter. My granddaughter is now 28 years old. She calls me every Friday. Every Friday night, she calls me at 6:30 on her way home from school because she's a 5th grade science teacher in DISD. As I said to this young lady, what the hell do you know about science? And without missing a beat, she goes, more than every kid in my class. You are your papa's baby. I gave my granddaughter and my daughter my credit card with a note attached, telling them to have somebody call me if there was an issue. My daughter walks in with her black daughter, my daughter, granddaughter, and the clerk starts staring at my daughter. Get my granddaughter. She's a selfish little pig. She wants the Air Jordan. She wants the fancy jeans. Remember when we had jeans? Like, now she's look at me. I got these jeans and there's no holes and there's no cuts and your ass hangs out the back. Dad, Papa, look, fashion statement. I said, I used to have those jeans. We threw them out. Now she's paying $150 so her knees stick through the hole in her pants. And the clerk would say, you don't want those, you don't want those. And they kept moving her to all the cheaper tennis shoes and all the cheaper clothes. And she got to the clerk, or to the checkout counter, and there was a picture of me for some charity event asking people to drop their coins in. And my 13-year-old granddaughter says, oh, Mama, look at Papa. And the clerk says, oh, yeah, I'm sure it is. I said, no, that's my dad. That's her grandfather. Here's the credit card with the note attached. Call him if you need any clarification. And the clerk took all the clothes and pushed them off to the side and said, I think we have better things we can show you. And my daughter said, we would have bought those better things, but we're fine now.
Yeah.
So I don't quit. I will not shut up. I will not stop pushing. It's too important for my granddaughter, even if she is that selfish little pig.